my fellow Hoteps. It's your president, President Doe Dubes. I'm sure you missed me. I missed you too. But as you know, the grift never stops and neither do we. And this is the state of the grift. As you know, every month, or sometimes every month, we'll take a look at some of the most prominent examples of the grift and rate their grift game. If it is a phenomenal grift, I pledge to you to give it my presidential support all the way to the Grifties. As always,
I am once again asking for your financial support.
To like and share this video, as well as to committing to supporting the Hotep Nation by buying Hotep, including merchandise, supporting our venture, and of course, supporting your local Hoteps. That's very important. You can also help by submitting your State of the Grift nominations to grifties.com. Now, all of this can be found in the description box below. And now, here are the top contenders for April and May. First up, we have Dogecoin. Now, I'm pretty sure that everybody has been paying attention to Dogecoin. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have made a lot of money off of Dogecoin. However, when it comes to meme coins and things of that nature that are running off of a trend, as we all know, Dogecoin didn't really have a purpose outside of it being a joke and then being more of a communal thing. People were able to pay each other in Dogecoin and tip them and things of that nature. It really had a strong, really has a strong community in Reddit. That's where I got a lot of my Dogecoin knowledge and be able to get in early. I got in not when it was sub-cents. I got in when it was about 1 to 7 cents. I was trading back and forth, and then I decided to hold. So yeah, Dogecoin shot up tremendously. We're talking sub-cents all the way up to, I think it reached a peak of about 74 cents per coin. So we're talking thousands of percents in gains. And as these things happen, the same thing that we've seen with GameStop, same thing that we've seen with AMC and other securities, so to speak, that has a super high extension, and then of course it has that decline. Now we have people like Elon Musk that were pumping Dogecoin a lot over the past month or so. So we saw a lot of that action. People like me, other savvy people, got in on the ride. I'm actually still holding some Doge. I'm still up, so it really didn't hurt me at all. But I understand that when it comes to these things, a lot of people did buy at the top, and a lot of people are still holding and hoping that Dogecoin makes its return. As far as I'm concerned, I'm good with the money that I made from it. If I don't make any more, it's totally fine. However, as somebody who has, skin in the game and money behind it, of course, we want to be able to have that go to the moon, as they say. So in this same time, though, Bitcoin had dropped pretty much in half over this amount of time as well. It had reached a peak of about 65,000, almost 65,000. I think it was like 64.9, and then it dropped. The last time I checked, it was about 35, 36. So people have been hitting me up, panicking and stuff like that. And when it comes to this stuff, I tell people all of the time that your money is made on the buy, not when you sell. So what that means is, whenever you buy an investment, or whenever you buy into an investment or security or whatever, you're saying to yourself that the price that you bought it at is actually undervalued and is actually, slated to go up in the future. So you have already made your money when you bought at the price that you bought it at. So a lot of people who are buying Bitcoin in the 50s and 60s, thousands, are feeling like, oh, did I lose money and things of that nature? So you have to ask yourself, when you bought it, did you believe it was going to continue to grow? Did you believe that with what you bought, that it was going to increase in value over time? And if the answers are still yes to that question, then I think that when it comes to people like me, we buy more. Instead of looking at these dips as losing opportunities, we look at these dips as opportunities to actually accumulate more at a cheaper price, at a discount, so to speak. So if you're one of those Bitcoin hopefuls, please don't think that, just because Elon Musk says some bad things about Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is going to go away. I personally don't think that. I don't have a crystal ball or anything like that, but I do believe that Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, those are my big three, on top of the stable coin USDC. Those are my four main crypto holdings outside of like Dogecoin and Cardano and all this other stuff that I have in different wallets. Those are the big three that I'm sticking to. So even when I see these dips, instead of panicking or being fearful, I get excited. That's what Warren Buffett says, right? When everybody's greedy, be fearful. When everybody's fearful, be greedy. So that is what Doe is doing. So let's address the elephant in the room. No more beard this time around. So I've grifted from the full beard back to my original goatee. The reason why I grew a beard in the first place was it's cold outside and stuff like that, and I do like to sport the full beard, but the goatee is better for the spring and summer. It's more of a cleaner look. So yeah, we switched from the beard back into the goatee, but the president is still the president. Of course, we cannot go any further without saying rest in peace to Earl DMX Simmons. Is actually one of my favorite artists growing up. DMX is the first artist that I downloaded on Napster in 99 or 2000. DMX has been extremely influential in my life, going all the way back into my younger years, elementary school, going into middle school, things of that nature, and his demise definitely affected me. He's actually the only celebrity thus far that I actually cried over when I learned that they passed. So big shout out to DMX. Big rest in peace, rest easy. I love the procession, the monster truck, and just the fleet of motorcycles. It was an amazing homegoing service, and I pray for the families, all his children, and just all the success to his descendants, and of course hoping that he is resting easy and no longer in pain. So rest in peace to DMX. What do we have next? So I was on the internet a couple days ago, and I don't even really go on Breitbart like that, but I was on Breitbart and I saw that Blue's Clues. Now, I grew up on Blue's Clues, so Blue's Clues has been out for a while. Blue's Clues, I guess for Pride Month, for Gay Pride Month, had a drag queen sing to these animals on the show. And now these animals were, quote unquote, pansexual. Now, the reason why this is important is because now sexuality is being, of course, taught to children. Now, before people who are pro-LGBT, I'm not anti-LGBT, but before people, get into that lane and saying, what's the difference between, the prince and the princess kissing in the cartoons? What's the difference with showing heteronormative behaviors and, of course, homosexual or just LGBT lifestyles amongst children? And my response has always been that I've never pushed sexuality on the children, ever. Heterosexual, homosexual, any of the sexualities, I let children be children. There are a bunch of children most children do not have a concept of sexuality or anything like that. And bottom line, those are adult themes. Those are adult conversation and topics to have. And even when you're growing up and you may, want to explore, or you feel, a certain way, you reserve those feelings until you have the mental capacity to really grasp these things and have a full 360 view of how you feel about your sexuality. I am never going to act like, prepubescent kids don't have hormones, don't have urges, and don't have these things. I grew up with them. I'm sure we all did. But we also have to make sure that as adults that we are properly allowing children to channel these feelings, these thoughts, and not being able to push a certain agenda that you may feel is correct for them, because you feel like, I'm watching this child, they're struggling with maybe their identity, or maybe with their, who they like, the boys or the girls, or they like both, and all of these things, that you want to allow them that spectrum to be able to choose from and not feel like they have to be boxed into those binary categories. And I totally understand all of these things. As much as people think or try to say Hoteps are like homophobic and transphobic and stuff like that, it's not the case at all. I respect everybody. That includes trans people, that includes pan people, that includes everybody. As long as you're respectful to me, I'm going to be respectful to you. So I'm never going to try to take away the validity of your lifestyle. That's never going to be the case when it comes to me. However, we do have to be adults and we do have to be responsible, because now we're adding themes and we're adding a bunch of topics that children barely can even grasp. We're talking about the same demographic of people who still are getting colors, shapes, numbers, and letters and words and all of that stuff together. They don't even know how to properly manifest or channel or convey their emotions, let alone their own sexuality. So I say, in these development stages, we need to focus more on education, self-esteem, being able to show the type of, try to pull out the skills, the type of mindset, and try to help children as opposed to trying to push a certain agenda. And that goes with super heteronormative stuff too. Like, let children be children. Don't let it be about sexuality, is my point. And finally, we have a full circle grift. I would like to call it a 360 grift. So, as we all know, Black Lives Matter has been a prominent movement, political movement, for the greater part of a decade, ever since the days of the murder of Trayvon Martin in 2013, going into the murder of Mike Brown in 2014 in Ferguson. We have watched Black Lives Matter become this small internet-based movement and have watched it grow into a global movement. Literally across the world, people are chanting Black Lives Matter. Now, before we get into the grift, I just want to make my position clear. I've always strayed away from Black Lives Matter, the organization. I'm pretty sure people who've been following me before I got kicked off of Twitter have always known that about me. I've always been skeptical and even downright cynical towards the Black Lives Matter movement. I understand how movements work. I created one, Hotep Nation, with my brothers and my sisters. So I understand how successful movements operate. And I also understand that when you incorporate agendas, specific agendas in your movement, you're going to do whatever you need to do to make sure those agendas are carried out. So as far as, for example, Hotep Nation, we believe in self-mastery, right? Self-supremacy is one of our constituents made that term up. Self-supremacy in the sense that we think for ourselves, we do for ourselves, and we make sure that we fortify ourselves from, pretty much just foreign or non-productive or unproductive thought. And that could be in the form of the victim mentality, as they say. That could just be downright hating on the next man who's doing what he's supposed to do. Like here at Hotep, we do want to see everybody win. Anybody who calls themselves or proclaims themselves to be a Hotep, we 100% support, and we want to make sure that everybody understands the fruitfulness of the Hotep Nation. So we want to make sure that everybody on board is living their best lives as far as health, wealth, prosperity, happiness, finance, family, you name it. We want community, we want family, we want money, we want good health, we want all of those things. So that's the reason why, we believe Hotep is important. Now, when you go to Black Lives Matter website, their agenda is very clear in their mission statement. They want to disrupt the nuclear family, the Western prescribed nuclear family, which we all know is not true. As far as it being Western prescribed, that goes back to ancient Africa. That goes back to the ancient peoples, period. Mother and father, child. Like, that's just how it goes in the nuclear family. And then you have all your extended, supporting roles like aunts, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, cousins, things of that nature. It takes a village comes from the fact that two parents are not the only people that can raise their young or raise their children. And it would be better to have an older matriarch or older patriarch, some peers for your children to interact with the entire village. The village model is not an antithesis for the nuclear family. It's just a component of it. It's just a larger picture of what the nuclear family can and should be. And Black Lives Matter has made it an explicit point to not only say that they're going to disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family, but they also made it a real poignant and explicit point to exclude males, i.e. fathers, in that blurb or in that mission statement. And it just allows us to know that men, particularly black men, are only fodder for the Black Lives Matter movement. And as a black man, above all else, I wouldn't be able to support a movement that didn't support me as an individual or as a black man. Not even so much as an individual, but me as a black man. And because there weren't any things in the literature of Black Lives Matter that spoke to me, that resonated with me, or even allowed me to feel like I was a part of this movement, I knew that this wasn't a genuine grassroots political movement created for the advancement, protection, and prosperity of black Americans. And then you get into who runs it. So one of the founders was Patrisse Cullors. She has been a prominent figure in Black Lives Matter since day one. She's actually one of the original 3 women who created Black Lives Matter. And throughout the years of all of this fame, prosperity, notoriety, Black Lives Matter picked up a lot of bags, a lot of money. We're talking billions of dollars. And through that, Patrisse was able to, acquire wealth, to build wealth. Now, nobody's ever going to be against black men and women building wealth, or anybody building wealth, especially if you're doing it legitimately. And that's where the issues are coming in, because a bunch of supporters, like stark supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement, have been seeing a lot of money going out as far as their pockets and stuff like that, but nothing really coming back in. When you're supporting a movement that's quote unquote started grassroots online and things of that nature, people just being on the ground, recording video, organizing protests and things of that nature, and then see it grow to where it is today, and then not see any tangible change in their communities or their neighborhoods, people are going to start asking questions. And then when you couple that with the fact that one of the founding members is buying millions of dollars of real estate within the past few years, a couple years, you start to put these things together, even if it's not totally true or all of the facts are not there. Your brain just begins to start putting things together. So we have a founder now who was buying millions of dollars of real estate, and then no real way to track, or as a person who's supporting them, because I'm not, but as a person who's supporting them, you will want to know if that's your ARAB money, or is that Black Lives Matter bag. And because that line is so blurry, people are now falling back. And with all of this backlash, Patrisse has decided to step down as one of the executives on Black Lives Matter. According to her, this was years in the making. She was going to step down, but they needed her presence and stuff like that. And she wanted the newer generation of the movement to take, the reins. So I think that it's, her explanation, before I get into, my conclusion or my thoughts, is that book deals, YouTube, and other sources of income are the reason why she was able to purchase these properties. Totally plausible. I'm not going to just sit here and call her a liar just because I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter. But I am also going to be honest and say that when we're dealing with movements like this, even when we take the race component out of it, when people are dealing with nonprofit organizations or organizations where it's not so clear on the business, a lot of this stuff could be fudged. So while I will not just indict her and say that she stole Black Lives Matter money to buy, expensive homes, because there's no evidence of that, I didn't see any, but I am not going to take that. I'm not going to take that off the table either, because it's very, very possible that this is something that could have happened. So if you are a supporter of Black Lives Matter, and I'm not talking about the ideology, the fact that black people in America or black people across the world matter or should matter. If you are a supporter of the Black Lives Matter political corporation movement, you should be skeptical. You should question things, and you should want to know exactly what's going on, especially if you have been contributing your own hard-earned dollars to this movement. I will never support, especially financially. Just too many things over the years. You got people like Sean King, and you got people like DeRay. You have all these people that are just not good people, in my opinion. I feel like Sean King is like one of the #1 grifters. As a matter of fact, he won a Grifty, if I'm not mistaken, because of his hard and diligent grift work. So because of all of the characters in place, you got people like George Soros that's been funding this stuff since day one. When you got all of these characters in place, it only makes sense that critically thinking people would be skeptical. So if you are one of those people, start asking more questions. Start getting to the bottom of exactly what your movement is about. And that'd be the same thing for any Hotep supporter. We do not have any problem not showing you the books, however, but we have no problem showing you if you have contributed, if you have been a supporter of Hotep Nation. You can see where the money is going. You can see that our movement is predicated on other people winning. Me with financial literacy. You got Hotep Jesus, just cracking people over the head with facts. You got Uncle Hotep giving you that down home Black American right-wing ideology. All of these things are for the betterment of all of our viewers, our listeners, our supporters, and of course our constituents inside of Hotep Nation. We take care of our own, and we do not exploit our own. We don't grift. We don't do any of those things. So I'm proud to, put Hotep Nation, that banner up. I'm proud to be your president. So with that pride comes accountability. It comes, with just being transparent and all of these things. And it's very important that you guys know that when you're supporting these movements, exactly what you're putting your money behind, who you're putting your money behind, and the agendas that those individuals are going to push. All we want is health, wealth, and prosperity. We're not here to steal. We're not here to corrupt people. We're not here to exploit. We're not here to deceive in any way. Of course, they're going to be, we're human, so we're going to have human error, but there'll never be a time where you'll see like Hotep Nation in the news for some crazy like embezzling scandal. I'm not skimming no money off the top or nothing like that. We're all doing pretty well for ourselves, and we just want to be able to spread that wealth across the nation, and that's all it is. So yeah, that was these months Grift. I promise that I will be way more diligent in making sure that you get in my monthly addresses on time without any delays as much as possible. Of course, like I said, we have human error, so things happen, and I'm just so happy to be back. Again, if you guys have any type of submissions for the Grift, please go to grifties.com. Please support your local Hoteps. Make sure that you keeping them encouraged, because it's hard out here. It really is. For people who overstand and who critically think, it is difficult, especially when you have family and friends, peers, and things of that nature who may not be on the same type of time that you on, and you love them and you care about them, so you don't just throw them to the wayside like so many memes and quotes tell you to say, that just kick him out of your life. Like, no, he may think that Joe Biden is a great president, but he's still not a bad person. So I understand that it's a dichotomy there that is, it's a tightrope that you have to walk. So as a Hotep who has to deal with this stuff on a daily basis, just stay encouraged, stay the course. As my man Stay With It says, stay with it, of course. So that's all for this month. If we missed a good grift, please comment below. Again, if you like to submit a grift for the month, go to grifties.com. We'll see you next month. I'm your president, Hotep Dubes, Hotep and Bill. Peace.